Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cyclocross Social podcast. Today we are here with the third road season, off-season, mountain bike season, whatever you want to call it, update. And with me here to discuss the latest news is Issam.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well, this is our first podcast since we spoke ahead of the Tour of Flanders. We expected to come back sooner with updates about the cyclocross calendar. The World Cup calendar was supposed to come. There was news that it was supposed to come at the end or middle of March first, then it became the Tour of Flanders, and now it's still not here, so there's not really much to comment about, but I would still like to raise some attention for it because we're 5.5 months from the cyclocross season starting. Race organizers are trying to find dates, and it's really a disgrace that there's no calendar whatsoever now. Multiple race organizers have reached out to me in the past couple of weeks if I knew anything about when the calendar is coming. I don't. I've been told and read in the media twice already when it was supposed to come. It didn't come then. I'm hoping it comes now on Friday, but I don't have anything to indicate that it's actually going to come then. And all these race organizers tell me that it's complicated for them. Their financial partners, their industrial partners, they are all asking, when is this going to be? We need to know. We need to be able to commit to it. There's nothing on the UCI website. It's increasingly difficult for them to maintain their position. They need to keep telling these partners, it will come, it will come. Keep the money reserved for me. I'm going to get a date eventually. But this company that's sponsoring this event can also say, well, you know what? I've been waiting for 2 months. I'm going to invest 100k into a different sporting event or into something else, or we're not going to invest it at all. Oh, some budget cuts. Well, we're not going to sponsor you after all. Something needs to happen, and this is really, really starting to hurt organizers. It really can't wait much longer. In fact, it's already too late, but it needs to come as soon as possible now, Issam.
Yeah, I think that the damage is already done. It's quite late. They left it very late already. With even if it was announced at the Tour of Flanders, it was, in my opinion, a little too late, but still within some sort of reasoning. But I think right now it's getting a little bit out of hand, and it kind of shows also the great professionalism that is at Flanders Classics and the UCI. But no, at the end of it, I hope, and that is really the main concern in my opinion, because Flanders Classics is not going to go bankrupt or anything, and financially they will make it through the coming years. But it's more like the races that are really dependent to know the dates, so to make sure that they have everything sorted also financially, and that are already kind of struggling. I think it could hurt those races for sure. And it's a bit of a shame that we do not hear anything about it. It's kind of understandable as well, because the road season is well going, and all focus is there as well. But it's a difficult situation at the moment for both the race organizers, but without a doubt it should also be a very difficult situation for Flanders Classics, because it's against what they normally do in terms of announcing and having their things sorted out. So I think they have also an issue with trying to make sure that they find the dates for the World Cups and have a calendar that is within their belief and vision as well. So I hope that they can get it sorted as soon as possible, so we also have an idea of what's going on, and also for the riders and the teams, mainly the teams, to organize everything and make sure that you are prepared for what is coming. But for the moment, it's a lot of silence over there at Flanders Classics and the UCI.
Yeah, the silence is deafening, and it's good that you mentioned the teams, because they also need to start planning their season. They need to potentially plan their training camps and all these type of things. It's, as I said, 5.5 months, you want to book in advance so you get the discounts and stuff. So it's really too late already, but what they at the very least should have done is announce a number of dates. Okay, these dates are blocked for World Cups. We'll announce whatever we put there later, so the rest can start planning around that. And sure, it's not perfect, because maybe a Belgian race chooses a date, or they can even... Well, actually, with these protected status, they could already announce which dates are going to be protected, or announce that they'd at least give them something. In the bid book, it said that they wanted to announce the Cyclocross World Cup calendar after the Road World Championships. Get that, they wanted to announce it before the Cyclocross season properly started. Like, they wanted to announce it in September, when we're talking about exact crosses. That would be perfect. But at least do it like you've always done. Announce it at the Cyclocross World Championships, because taking on these events, taking on these organizational risks, really, really is a lot of work, and you can't do it in 2 months or something. So I would just hope that hopefully something comes of this and that we'll have a calendar soon, so all these worried race organizers can continue on and we don't end up with a seriously empty cyclocross calendar, because at the moment the calendar is kind of being held hostage because everyone is waiting for Flanders Classics and the UCI to announce. Well, let's go to the racing that is happening. The cyclocross teams, Paulshuis Bingle, Baloise Trek, they're doing some training camps now, starting to prepare for their road campaigns. Normally they come into action after the Spring Classics, kind of during the Giro is when they get into action, but there's been big action on the road as well. Tour of Flanders, Paris-Roubaix, Issam, we were kind of worried for a scenario like this already, one without a lot of tension, and we certainly got that. Van der Poel completely annihilated the remaining opposition after a lot of riders crashed out, but still 2 impressive wins by him. A long solo on the Koppenberg is where he went in the Tour of Flanders. A lot of people walking up there. We haven't seen it that bad even in the Koppenberg cross. That was pretty, funny to see. I think it used to happen quite a bit there in the old days of the sport, so I don't personally mind to see it now as well. It's pretty funny, it's part of the game, and also just the skill of Van der Poel. You could see that power slide up there. It was super, super sketchy there, but a long solo towards victory there, and then a week later in Paris-Roubaix, he did an even longer solo. He went before Mont-Saint-Pavel, almost 60 kilometers alone in front of the peloton to victory with 3 minutes ahead of his teammate Jasper Philipsen, simply in a league of his own.
Yeah, totally. And I think with the Tour of Flanders, the Koppenberg is definitely a place where you want to be at the front, and I think that was sort of a predictable move. The move in Paris-Roubaix was, to attack on the section before Mont-Saint-Pavel. I expected maybe an attack on Mont-Saint-Pavel because you can really put the riders there under pressure, but to go there just the section before, was definitely insane. And I think that it's just you watch the races in awe in a way, at least I do, and it's ridiculous in a way the way he's racing at the moment compared to the others. Obviously we're missing Van Aert, but I think that we in a way shouldn't really focus all that much on that, and really in a way admire what he's doing at the moment, because it's, in my opinion, we're watching history being made. It's at the moment his career is already at a point where many riders would sign for, and I think that is it's almost a legendary status what he is trying to achieve, and definitely is going towards. And I think with both races, it's a race that you kind of will remember for a couple of years for sure, and maybe even 10 to 15 years still talk about. So I think that this is an extraordinary performance from his side, and we will see what is still coming, because we kind of got the confirmation that Amstel Gold Race and Liège-Bastogne-Liège is also on the program, and I think definitely for this Sunday, Amstel Gold Race is definitely within his possibility, and Liège is definitely going to be more difficult with Pogačar starting as well, but that will be interesting to see how he will perform there. But overall, I think whatever happens this season, in my opinion, I think it's already a very successful season, despite the fact that he has still some goals ahead of him this season.
With 2 monuments, you can't really say the season is filled, can you? It's more than what many riders will win in their career. Many riders would just trade anything, like their entire palmarès, just for these 2-3 weeks of Van der Poel. Like 5 races, 3 victories, a second place, and helping his teammate win Milan-San Remo. What more can you want? It's been really, really good for him. I don't really believe in a Liège victory for him. I think it's just going to be too hard, and there's no way he's going to follow Tadej Pogačar there. But it's nice that he's trying it. I don't mind that at all, and I look forward to it, as you. I hope for a bit more entertaining races. As you say, it's special performances by Van der Poel. I watch races more to be a bit more entertained. This is not really that entertaining because there's no suspension, but that's fine. It's super special. It's not Van der Poel's fault at all. And as you say, it's still historic. He puts his name down as arguably already the best Dutch classics rider ever. I would put him next to one of my personal favorites, Jan Raas. Van der Poel, 6 monuments, a world title. Jan Raas won 4 monuments and a world title, but 5 times Amstel Gold Race, 3 times E3, 10 stages in the Tour. I would put them equal still for me, but Van der Poel has a few more years left in him, and if he continues like this, who knows what's the limit for him. But at the same time, I do want to warn, I don't really expect Van der Poel to continue like this every single year. It's insane level, and of course at some point he's going to decline, at some point his preparation isn't going to be perfect, and above all, I do want to say, it's not to take anything away from this victory, but a lot of riders crashed out this Spring Classic campaign, and that undeniably has an influence on the way that the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix unfolded. If everyone was there, sure, we can make a good case that Van der Poel would have won, but it would have been closer. And exactly that closer is what I'm counting on in the future years. I think Issam, it would be outrageous if I'm going to make a claim here for the next 3 years Van der Poel is going to win the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix in the same year. Surely you would ask me, what is going on? How much did you have? How many beers did you have before you went on the podcast today?
Yeah, but I mean, for Paris-Roubaix I can definitely agree with you, but for Tour of Flanders, to be honest, if you look at these previous races, it's quite insane. I think only once outside of the podium.
Yeah, that's correct. That was the first year when he crashed. Yeah. But on the other hand, if Pogačar decides to turn up 2 times in the next 4 years, Pogačar will be the favorite probably because his climbing is so good. I don't expect, he's good, and I expect him to add way more to his palmarès. Like, there's a couple of world championships coming with great courses, and he's undeniably great at the Tour of Flanders, but this cannot be the standard. I just can't see him do this for 4 or 5 years, like this high of a level.
No, I agree with that. I think that it's definitely going to be difficult to maintain what he's doing at the moment, and we have seen many riders have such a special year, and then after that, we're not really able to reach that level ever again in their career. So it's definitely something that we should not see as the standard. That's why I'm also kind of enjoying it, despite the fact, obviously, that it is not close compared to his competitors. I still know that this is probably something that we're not going to see for quite some time, most likely. I don't see this happening next season in a way. There are a lot of factors that play a role. As you said, the crashes this season definitely played a role in the Spring Classics, and who says that he will be spared by that? Obviously, I don't wish him that, but it's part of cycling in a way, and it happens. So you just have to try and get out of those situations and make sure that you don't crash, but that's easier said than done. So, I think, without really speculate too much, I feel that he definitely found the right way to prepare towards these kind of races, because he's at the moment at a really high level, probably his best that he ever can be. He probably feels that way also. And it will be interesting to see if in the next coming years the same kind of approach will result in a similar shape and form overall. I think that if that is the case, it's definitely going to be difficult to beat him in classics. But this year is definitely not going to be the same as next year, and different factors will play a role. So we have to wait and see how that will play out. But for sure, at the moment, crazy season for him at the moment, for sure.
Yeah, and of course, it's not a one-time off. Last year he also won 2 monuments and the world title. So it's definitely going well. And he's at the peak of his career now, 29 years old. It's really all coming together for him. And I was just watching some clips of him making his Tour de France debut, and just 2019, 2020 Mathieu van der Poel now. It's also worth mentioning that he's come quite a way. He stormed onto the scene, was not really the most rational racer, made a lot of impulsive decision, which cost him a number of victories, and then he had the bad year and a half with the back issues and the Wollongong issue, where he got thrown into prison because he assaulted children. I think at that point there was really a switch, and he said himself, after Wollongong, I focused myself on Glasgow. I knew I can't afford to lose these opportunities anymore. They're precious. I need to start winning the races big time. I can't do stuff like Kuurne Brussels Kuurne in 2021 where I just go on the attack for shits and giggles and race till the end and then lose. Like, I need to take these opportunities if I want to make something or build a palmares. Make something of his career is a bit too strong of wording, but if I want to build a big palmares, I need to start seizing these opportunities, seize the day, and really rise above himself on the day, and he's been really, really good at that. And I think in general we need to give Alpecin credits for the way they raced Roubaix. Not only Van der Poel was good, Vermeers was good, really good actually. I think if that move with Vermeers at like 80k to go with, who was he with? He was with, I think, Valens was there, I think. Or no, it was Polet. Polet was there, and I'm forgetting who the other rider was. But if that goes, Kung was there. Kung and Polet. I could definitely see Vermeers win from there. He had a really, really good day, 6th place, and then of course Philipsen 2nd again. What a start by Alpecin, and then to think that's not the only place that they were winning that week, because another cross rider, Hermans, there was a bit of pressure on him, or quite a bit of pressure, we should say, after the cross season to perform. Didn't have a great year last year, but it's been going relatively well. Issam, he was winning a stage in Itzulia Basque Country and now in Brabantse Pijl, which is today. We are recording on Wednesday. Podcast is coming out on Thursday. He was decent, was in the front group, but just ran out of energy. Had to do a bit too much of work throughout the day to be fresh in the sprint, but still ended 6th. So promising for Hermans.
Yeah, if you compare it to last year, it's definitely better. And I think that he has to perform in a way because, as you said, the pressure was really on for him. And it's going to be interesting for the classes what he can do. But it seems that he is at the moment a more valuable asset than he was last year. And even if it means that there is no place for him at Alpecin, which I don't think at the moment is any reason for, but that suggests that is the case, then I still think that he showed that he's a valuable rider for any other team. So I think that for him, for his career, it's definitely important, the performances that he's putting at the moment. And it's a confirmation of what we kind of knew was within his reach, but just last year it was kind of, not really achieved at that point. And at the moment it looks quite good. So hopefully he can put in more of these results. And then I feel that that pressure is definitely going to be somewhat relieved from his shoulders. And then he can, focus really on the results and his career overall, because I think that there is still definitely some seasons for him to perform at a very high level.
We've talked enough about the men on Alpecin now. Let's make a switch to their women's team, because Puk Pieterse has definitely not lifted her foot off the gas, at least, well, she has by now, but she went super well in the Tour of Flanders, as did Shirin van Anrooy. I think it's good to briefly talk through the race, because there the Koppenberg was also decisive. A lot of riders needed to run up the Koppenberg. There was a small breakaway that got away. Pieterse was in that breakaway. Van Anrooy was in that breakaway. Van Empel wasn't in that breakaway. She was in that second group. Second group included Lotte Kopecky and Demi Vollering. Actually, Van Anrooy was also in that second group. But the difference was that Van Anrooy managed to come back to the leading group in the descent of the Kruisberg-Hoton towards the final time out of Quaremont. She joined the leading group and attacked right by them. She opened the gap. She kept that gap over the Quaremont. The chasing group came slightly closer, but ahead of that chasing group was Puk Pieterse, because she also attacked before the Quaremont. Nobody really did anything. Everybody looked at SD Works, who weren't really sure what the hell was going on in their team, and nobody else seemed eager to do the work. So at the top of the Quaremont, Van Anrooy was in the lead ahead of Pieterse. Then they went to the Paterberg. Van Anrooy topped the Paterberg first, but her teammate Longo Borghini closed the gap with Nivea Doma. Pieterse was caught on the Paterberg and also left behind by Longo Borghini. She needed to sprint in the second group. Pieterse ended 6th. Van Anrooy was in the leading group. She led out Longo Borghini. Longo Borghini won the race. Van Anrooy ended 3rd. Issam, I said I made the bridge to Pieterse, but I think we really should start with talking about Van Anrooy, because that was really an exceptional race by her in the Tour of Flanders. It's really, really shows mental fortitude, mental toughness, the way that she raced there. She was on the back foot, chasing, suffering from Vollering and Kopecky, who were trying to bridge the gap to the leaders after running up the Koppenberg. Vollering made that bridge first. Van Anrooy bridged later, then attacked past that group. She didn't wait a single moment. That's really something that often works, but it's a super risky move and you're super tired. So to do that requires real guts.
Yeah, and a big engine. You need to have the legs to make such a move, and definitely, I think that it looks really good, and it's a similar style the way she has been racing so far through the entirety of the season on the road, and it's I wouldn't say bothers me, but it's just I noticed it in a way that after the race she was saying that it was a confirmation for her that she, that this is a race that suits her well and that it's going well in a way. And I was like, it's not only going well. I personally think that within 3 years a win is 100% possible. It's like the way she's racing for sure with the course that you have. I think there's always going to be an opportunity for her to win a race. And for sure, you never know how the race will play out, and the 100% is maybe a bit of an exaggeration. The race has to be ridden, and you never know what happens in a career for sure. But I think that if she maintains the level that she has at the moment and improves upon it a little bit, which is definitely within her reach, I think that Tour of Flanders is definitely a race that she's capable of winning. And I hope that she somewhere finds that, sort of urge to feel that for her there is also going to be a time where she's going to be the leading woman. I feel still that she's maybe a bit too accepting the domestique role a little too much in my opinion. I feel that she can, not this year in particular, but I definitely feel that for next year she can definitely ask for a somewhat higher role in terms of being co-leader or even leader. That's obviously within, what she wants, her preference, and also the preference of the team little track. But she has a great team. Longo Borghini was also not the greatest of teammates after the Paterberg, but overall they have a very strong team, and it seems that the management there is also on point. So I think for her it was a performance to be very proud of, and I think that for sure she will come back to winning one day.
I think Longo Borghini shouldn't have closed that gap after the Paterberg. I think she should have let that work to Nivea Doma. I can understand the attack on the Paterberg because Longo Borghini was very strong. Longo Borghini is insanely strong this season. So I can get why you attack there, because if you don't do that and Van Anrooy gets caught, then you're in a very gnarly position because you're up against Kopecky, Vos, Pietersen. So yeah, I can get that, why you attack there, but Nivea Doma should have closed the final gap. But yeah, Longo Borghini has been very good. I feel like Van Anrooy is being used in the right role by her team. She is already being used as a co-leader. She's always being protected. She's being used late in the race. She is in the pecking order ahead of a rider like Dijknen. She is always pretty much the second woman next to Longo Borghini. It's just that this season Longo Borghini is exceptionally good. Longo Borghini has always been pretty good, but this season she's a different level of good. She's dropping Demi Vollering in the Brabantse Pijl. She's also dropping Demi Vollering in the Strade Bianche. I mean, it's been pretty good and pretty insane actually what Longo Borghini has shown this year. So I can definitely see that Van Anrooy has the potential to also grow to that level. But really against this Longo Borghini, it's just a bit unfortunate that the season Van Anrooy is really good. Longo Borghini is also very, very good. And that means that Van Anrooy doesn't necessarily get the opportunities to win these races. But I'm 100% sure her time will come. I'm not convinced that she will only have 2 more years or something for it. As you say, you never know how careers go, but it's been really good by Van Anrooy, and we'll see what comes, because I actually think that the races that are coming now, she's down to do Amstel Gold Race, Liège, she's not doing Flesch. Amstel Gold Race and maybe even more Liège should be very good races for her, so I look forward to seeing her in action there. Someone who we won't see there is Puk Pietersen. Pietersen has actually finally taken a rest. She finished 6th. She sprinted to 3rd place in the second group in Tour of Flanders. But Issam, she's back on the mountain bike already. And whilst everything is going well for now, it's not sustainable this way. If I look at the way that her season was planned, from last cross season, she did a full cross winter. Sure, not only double weekends, but it was a full cross winter, 1 week off. We hop on the road bike, brief time off, 2-3 weeks, Then they started building the mountain bike campaign. After the mountain bike campaign in the summer, after World, there was a week and a half off, which was low intensity training, and then she went again. After that, into cross season, a week of rest in cross season, pick up the training again. After Cyclocross Worlds, a week of rest, build up road, a week of rest, build up mountain bike. It's not sustainable, and I think at some point Peterson just needs a longer rest period. I'm not saying this means that she will be bad, because she is so talented that even if she's maybe not at her absolute peak, she is still capable of getting very good results. But if you want to win Olympic gold in Paris against Prevot, who's looking increasingly scary, she's been super, super good this season, you need to be at the absolute best of your abilities. And to do that, it also means making choices. And that's something that I feel Alpecin is making the same mistake as what they did with Van der Poel earlier. They have this super talented individual and they want to use them as much as possible because it gives them exposure, it gives them money, it gives them good results, it gives them prestige. But I don't really think this is sustainable. At some point you're going to absolutely burn out, and Prevot has done this earlier in her career, Vos has done this in her career, there's many other examples. You need to be careful with your riders.
100%, and I think that the examples are also spot on. It's when everything is going right, the urge of taking rest and maybe planning your season a little more drastically, and sometimes even when you feel that the legs are somewhat good, be hard for yourself and skip certain races just to make sure that you take care of your body and overall just the form. I think that's always a hard decision, especially if you're younger and very hungry in a way. I think that it's super understandable from both Peterson and the team. I think that both are really, are trying to get the most out of what is at the moment, within her capabilities, and super understandable. But it's at the moment, it looks also like that could hurt in the long term. And even in the shorter term, if we only speak about the Olympics, I don't think that this at the moment is the perfect approach. I would have loved to see a little more rest. I would have loved to see, I think she's going to be racing now the beginning of May somewhere, second week of May or something. So, there is definitely there is a build up towards that race. But then after that, the races are coming in, and you want to have do those races to really get prepared for the Olympics. I feel that the rest is never really going to be there, and you end up maybe at the Olympics and question yourself, was that the right approach? And when you have those questions at the Olympics, it's probably a little too late. And then from there on, it's going to be a long season, because maybe one of your biggest goals didn't really come to fruition. And then from there on, you still have to motivate yourself towards the end of the mountain bike season, and then the cyclocross season comes in. So I hope that it all goes well, and maybe, it's not too late right now to still make the right decisions as a team and for herself as well. So it's maybe a little too soon now to say that her, whole preparation towards the Olympics is ruined by what she's doing at the moment, or at least, or career-wise even. But it's definitely worrying the way that how they have approached the last couple of weeks. And I hope to see somewhere that they change that up, and we hear that there is some rest being taken, or at least they've made sure that they, took another approach than what they were maybe willing to take at the moment.
Today I saw a clip on the news about a doctor talking about alcohol usage, like everybody who drinks like a beer or a glass of wine a day. And the doctor was explaining that people talk to her when she, like, oh, I'm 55 and I've drank beer and wine every day. Like, every day I had a glass of wine, or every day I had a beer, and I'm doing fine. My brain is fine. I get up easily in the morning every day. I have no issues. Her argument was, well, you can be doing fine, but you could have maybe been doing even better if you hadn't consumed that much alcohol throughout your life. I think in sport, the same goes. Like, we've seen it with Van der Poel. He was mismanaged in 2021. They rushed him into those world championships, into Paris-Roubaix. He still did good. 8th at Worlds, 3rd in Paris-Roubaix. But is that the best Van der Poel? No. We see now how good Van der Poel is when his preparation is perfect. And that is really much better than he was at the end of 2021. So Pieterse, I mean, she could still medal the Olympics. She can still win the Olympics. But that's not necessarily a guarantee that we've seen the best Puk Pieterse. We might see the best Puk Pieterse when she's resting just that bit more, when they give her a bit more off time. Or maybe I'm all wrong and Puk Pieterse is somebody who, for whatever genetical reason, doesn't need any rest and can just keep going like a machine. And then I will happily take back these words and admit I'm wrong. But for now, I'm just worried that Pieterse at some point is going to burn out, like has happened to Vos and Prevot, and to an extent has happened with Van der Poel with his back. And I would really think that's a waste from happening. I'm not going to make the same argument again that Jumbo, on the other hand, is being very overprotective of Van Empel. But it gives me a good reason to bridge to Van Empel, because we've seen Van Empel in action. She raced in the Tour of Flanders. Issam, it was not a great showing by her. She was in that second group together with Pfeiffer Georgi, Kopecky after the Koppenberg. She was running up the Koppenberg. I think she went faster in that muddy Koppenberg cross in November. But that aside, Van Empel made a pretty okay impression, but also I don't know if it's too much learning or just the base wasn't there or whatever, but definitely in the final part of the race the lights went out at her. She couldn't keep up with Van Anrooij bridged across. She fell back to a group which was some distance behind her, finished 17th. It's not bad for your debut, but also not really what she had hoped for, because Visma was talking top 10. If we see what Pieterse and Van Anrooij can do, Van Empel should also be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And the question is it because of the capabilities of Van Empel or the poor preparation by Visma Leasebike? And I think that from some of the previous comments is definitely the second option, in my opinion, at least. And I don't know. I think that it's a good experience for her for sure. And I hope that in the next coming season she will have a better preparation towards this race, because I feel that this is definitely a race where she can be in the mix for sure within in a top 10 and maybe even better. And I feel that is kind of taken away from her due to the whole preparation that they attempted with her towards Tour of Flanders. And it's a bit of a shame, because I think we've said it plenty of times that you never know how many seasons you're going to be racing. You don't know how many opportunities you will get. I feel that she already has capabilities to be within the top 10. But yeah, that is at the moment not really coming to fruition. But I think the encouraging part of it is that despite the fact that the preparation wasn't the greatest, she was still able to race a reasonably decent result, in my opinion. And it's encouraging in a way to see that she's able to do that. So at least the potential is there, and hopefully it will be unlocked by Visma Leasebike with better preparation, and then I feel that there is a lot more possible for Van Empel.
Yeah, I think it's maybe not necessarily the bad form preparation. I think it's maybe more the fact that she's inexperienced and struggles with positioning and doesn't really know how to ride efficient in the bunch. Because where Pieterse has raced a lot of road in her youth years, I even used to race against her. Van Anrooij, idem dito, also used to do that. For Van Empel, road is really new. She started seriously cycling relatively late. Certainly didn't do much road when she was young. She did a bit more cross back then, but it's really new to her. So she really needs that learning experience, and I think that's something that can really help her in the future. Just being more in the peloton, getting used to it, adapting. It's already better than last year, but that's something she can still definitely work on. I have a few more results and then we can wrap up this episode. In the Brabantse Pijl today, we saw Jara Kastelein do well. She finished 9th. I think we're now coming into the territory of Jara Kastelein. These tarmac, these paved climbs, those are way better for her than the cobbled stuff. I think the same does go for Van Empel. I think the Amstel should be really good for her, so I look forward to seeing her there. And then finally, Sylvia Persico, she also raced in the Tour of Flanders. She made that same group as Pieterse, but got out sprinted by Pieterse and ended 7th. I think that's kind of it in terms of cross results across the road board. I mean, a few more. I mean, Blackmore has been doing well. Jan Christen, I don't know to what extent we should call him a cyclocross rider, probably not that much, but took his first win in Italy this week. I think even it was today. But yeah, it's looking promising, Issam. And a final mention should go out to Zoe Backstedt from Canyon SRAM. That was a really, really good ride by her in Paris-Roubaix. That was phenomenal. She was in the second group. She was up front for almost the entire race. It's the first time this season we've really seen her do that. I do think Paris-Roubaix is by far the best race for her. I think climbing is something she can still work on. I don't know if that will ever come to the level to compete in the more hilly races, but Roubaix is definitely a perfect race for her, and it was promising to see her up there, especially considering the fact that her road race campaign has been fairly weird so far. She's going to rest now, but she only did 2 weeks of training before rolling into competition in the Ronde van Drenthe. So yeah, that was definitely a bit weird the way that they prepared her, but it went relatively well. It was a good result, and hopefully we see more from her this road season. And unless I'm forgetting anyone, Issam, I think we've covered it all.
At this point, I'm not sure. I don't know what to say. I think we missed. I don't know if that was your intent or not, but obviously Vos as well. Her result in Tour Flanders was definitely something that we can mention. Was a good race from her side as well, but just I think you were more on the right side than I was before the race, that the hills kind of killed her a little bit and she was not really able to follow Borghini. I think that if there was less climbing, it definitely was more possible. It looked very good on the Koppenberg, but after that it was a bit more difficult for her to get over those hills, and I think in the end still a good result, and also for her she will be showing up in the Amstel Gold Race.
Yeah, good that you mentioned that. I mean, Vos is so rooted into road and cross that I almost overlook her as being a cross rider. She's just Vos to me. But yeah, good that you mentioned that. Indeed, spot on there about the Tour of Flanders, and I gave her better chances for Roubaix, and it seemed to be going pretty well, but she just was flat in the sprint. I think she needed to do a bit too much work in everything that led up to the sprint. Also was forced to launch the sprint pretty early. You saw that Kopecky could really, really come from behind in the draft, but an impressive sprint by Kopecky nevertheless. Vos just flat and finished fourth there, but yeah, that was a disappointment for Vos, and at least it means that Vos is not going to retire yet. I think she'll just keep continuing until she finally wins Roubaix. If it's at 45, at 50, she'll just keep going forever until she finally gets that win in Roubaix. But yeah, good that you mentioned that, and I think we'll have plenty to talk about in 2 weeks' time, Issam, or maybe earlier if they come with that calendar. Who knows?
Maybe you should ask them. Who knows? But yeah, indeed, if they get their things sorted out, we will probably find a date.
Yes, Sam, thank you for your time. It was an update from the off-season. I've lost count. I think it was our third one. Maybe it was fourth, but I'm not too sure exactly. I think we're at 3. And the Mountain Bike World Cup is also starting. We're going to Brazil. It's going to be very nice. I've seen people already being there and practicing. Looks promising. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. It's going to be pretty ecstatic this weekend. Thanks everyone for listening, and hopefully see you guys soon. Goodbye.